Hi guys, I thought episode 4 was going to be the last one on the BMW, but I took it for a ride after getting it registered to work, and the brakes got very hot. So that rotor got very hot, this rotor did nothing. So I pulled the rotors off. I couldn't get those pistons in that one to move at all, and eventually I discovered, whilst the pistons in this one did work quite well, I was able to push them in and out with my fingers. What I discovered was the brake line to that left hand side of the bike, right hand side as we're looking at it now, was blocked. So it didn't matter how much actuation I put on the brake lever, those pistons wouldn't work until I pulled the brake lever, the brake line off. And then I was able to depressure that caliper, and once I did that, I was able to get all the pistons working in and out fine. So I've decided to replace the entire brake line. I'll just go and grab the brake line and we'll have a look at that. Alright, this shows the brake line better. So that top piece there goes to the actually comes from the ABS unit. I'll show you that in a second. But it basically comes up near the brake lever, runs down, has a T-piece, one goes to the right caliper, one to the left. Now somewhere between that T-piece and there's a blockage, and I'm not going to even bother trying to fix that. What I have ordered is these braided brake lines. So the end with the 45 degree is the end that goes down the brake caliper line, and this is the end which will go to the actual ABS unit. Now I'll explain how that works. When you activate this brake lever, there's a brake line here. Instead of that going straight from this master cylinder and reservoir, picking up all that and going straight to the brake calipers, it goes to this little arrangement here. Let's try and get a better. So that goes to there. I've just put a blank screw in there, or a bolt in there, so that that doesn't leak. That's the incoming line from the, so it's still connected. That goes back to your brake lever. When I press the brake lever, that pressurizes there. That goes all the way to the back of the bike and activates through the ABS unit, and then comes back from here. Now you'll notice the original only had one connection up there. What I've done is I've ordered 2 brake lines, and my plan is to double them up. Now you can do that, and I'll explain how a banjo joint or banjo bolt connection works in a second. But if I double them up, that should work fine. Right, for anyone who hasn't seen one, that's a banjo bolt. It's a threaded bolt with a hole down the center and a hole at the end. The way that works is, in this instance, I'll show you one that's already fitted. That's the banjo bolt there that's fitted, and that's the cable. What allows is, when I press that lever, fluid comes from there, it flows along there into the bolt. So if the bolt's in that orientation, it flows into the bolt, and because there's a hole there, it then flows into the end of that, and you'll see in there's a hole. So it's a way to make fluid go from straight lines into 90-degree bends. So all I'm going to do is, instead of having a single banjo bolt like that at the top end, I've ordered a double one. So these are from HEL, or HEL. That's them, HEL. They're in Brisbane. The idea is you have a copper washer either side of that connection. So if I've got a single here, there'll be a copper washer, one of these, and then another copper washer, and then that threads in. And all I need to do is, when I use the double one, there's a copper washer also in between the 2 banjo connections there. Hope I've explained that. I'm going to just connect this up, and then it's going to be a bit of time bleeding it. I've bought brand spanking new brake fluid. They tell you not to use old fluid, so I'm going to use brand new fluid and we'll have a go. I probably won't be able to video much while I do this, so I'll bring you back in a minute. I'll just show you these calipers. So I've obviously got the brake line off, that goes on there, that's the bleed screw. I'm going to pull this pin out and that'll drop the two brake pads out. You'll be able to see them there. And I've bought new brake pads, so I'll fit new brake pads while I'm doing all this. I have had these off already, so I had these off a week ago, gave them a good clean, had to wait for the new lines to come down from Brisbane, so that's why I haven't shown you pulling all this apart and that, because I did all that offline. So you can see there how I've wired that, plumbed that up I guess. Copper wire, I've used new copper crush wires and I've used new banjo bolts. I ordered all that for the extra few dollars. It was worth it. It came all came from HEL. Where are they? There they are again. Focus on that. There we go. So I've left that loose. I'm not going to make that tight. I'm going to put the brake pads in, put that all back onto the caliper back onto the disc, and then I'm going to poke that up loose as well. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. I'll do the other caliper as well, get the both lines on, and then we'll work out how we get it up into there. You can see now the braided lines have been fitted. There would need to be a bit of probably zip ties. The old ones were zip tied to various bits and pieces, so I'll try and zip tie them up. The ABS sensor wire also was zip tied to them, which I've cut the zip tie, so I need to reconnect all that. But the next job I need to do is I've just put these calipers on fairly loose. I won't tighten them up until the very end. I need to get some pads in, and once the pads are in I'll bleed it, and then the last thing I'll do is I'll tighten the calipers back up. So time to get some pads in. Alright, so I've got new brake pads. I'm reusing the old pin. That pin goes through there. It locates. That'll go behind the disc. There's another one in front. That pin will locate through there. Hold them all in place. So I will put a bit of grease on the back of these too. If you can see that, that's just a bit of contact grease. Just to give it a bit of bite now. I'll poke the first one up. Once that's in, that's not quite tight, but I'm going to pop that in a bit, that pin. And then there's another cotter pin that, another pin that locks that in. Okay, that's a split pin. It just goes into a hole in here. Okay, it's a bit hard, really hard to try and video that, but I'll pop that in there. The last thing to do, I've just bled those brakes. I didn't bother running you through the process. If anyone knows, this is a bit of a weird bleed screw. It's got a hex screw in that end, and that actually unscrews there too. I had that open for a while just to sort of let it breathe while I was filling it, and then I locked it off. I did all the bleeding from this bleed screw there. Now I've got reasonable pressure. I've just taken it for a run. Both lines are working. I've got heat in both rotors. When I say taken it for a run, just up the driveway and back. I still need to torque these calipers down. Now when you torque these down, I've been told pull the brake lever hard, that'll center everything, and then do the final torque. So I'll just do that and give it a hose off. I always get worried when I use brake fluid that brake fluid's got spots where I don't know, so I'm just going to give it a hose off and then see how those brakes go over the next few days. I will take it easy until I'm sure that I've bled them properly, because I've never bled these ABS systems before, and who knows what special technique there's meant to be. But as I say, front brakes are working, back brakes are working. I've got heat in both rotors, so I know both are working now. So supposedly I've got twice as much braking capacity as I had previously. That's probably it for today, guys. I'll torque these up. It's a 30 Newton meter on those front calipers. I won't show you that, you know, guys, don't need to see me talking to 2 or 3 bolts. But yeah, not too bad, looks pretty good. There's a few little grommets I've got to put back in just to hold the brake lines in place, but that's just a little bit of fiddling around. I'll just make sure everything's working before I do all the final zip ties. That's it, guys. So yeah, as I said, didn't think there was going to be an episode 5, but here we are, episode 5, fixing the broken brakes. Thanks, catch you next time, bye.